I had to deal with this. I was going to put a picture up with a topic, and I just got upset and said, "The heck with it," and a few other words at Google because they have this 2 megabyte limit for a picture, and if you pick one that isn't 2 meg, they will let you upload it, but you can't use it. So I said, "The heck with
That's
it."
really dumb.
Well, that's okay. Are we working? I can't tell.
I think so.
I
Yeah,
hope
we're live.
so. Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, the pictures of peaches I put out every day. I have two. I have the one that is the full resolution, and the other one just says YT low res on it, so that when I once a week I go through and wipe out everything that says YT low res. What does it take to develop to put an app on there so that when you have a photo that's too large, it automatically reduces the size? Oh, these brilliant minds at Google who just they just lost a major lawsuit. Isn't that wonderful? Now it'll be 5 more years in court while I fight it, but they've been proven to be a monopoly. So with their browser, that's a good
Mhm.
thing, isn't it, Cecil? What do you think?
So
What do you
our
think?
first chat arrived more early than we did. It's Lisa Banerjee. So hello and welcome, Lisa. Good to see you.
Hi,
Hello.
Lisa. I always say hi, KK. Oh, KK is saying hi to you.
Hi,
Yeah.
KK.
You gonna say, hi? You want to say hi, KK? Hi, KK.
Hi, KK. Hi, KK,
Hi,
KK,
KK.
KK.
Yeah. What we're eventually going to talk about is where each of these birds came from and what it was like to bring them into the flock. And that's what we're going to talk about. You gonna chew my whole finger up?
And we have
You gonna chew
Giselle,
it?
plant-based vegan here. So hello, Giselle. Good to see you
Hello.
too.
Hello. Oh, Giselle would be glad to hear that I made my eggless egg salad. And when I went to make it this morning, I realized I didn't have mayonnaise, so I made mayonnaise. Which in the desert you can make like about 340 days of the year because we don't get storms out here much.
So Jamin Jamie is here and says hello, everybody. So welcome, Jamin.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. You want to say hello, KK?
He could.
He said hello. He said hello to someone earlier. Yes, he did. Said hello to Jocelyn, didn't you? Yeah. Now you just want to eat my finger?
You know what? My budgie sometimes does exactly the same. Of course, he cannot fully grab the finger, but he loves to chew on it, playing with the skin, see what it is.
It's like, why aren't there feathers on there?
Mm-hmm.
KK bird. KK bird. Where are you going,
KK is a
KK
super
bird?
cutie who knows a lot of words. I guess he can say Lorelei.
He's got a big vocabulary, but he's so quiet when he talks most of the time. You have to listen carefully to hear him talk, don't you? Hmm? Yeah, yeah.
And he learned to say cockatoo. It sounds more like the German word cockatoo when he says it.
Hello.
Hey, I don't think you need to eat my shoes.
So Falcon Zoo is here. Hey, Falcon Zoo.
Hi, Falcon Sue.
Full house today. That's great. Sadly,
I
no
might
Mander.
start. I might start doing, yeah, I might start doing, I have to set up a camera in here. Well, actually, I could use the camera there. I might start recording some of the time I have with Mander at night so you guys can see it. I mean, I might even broadcast it live. I don't know.
Oh, but
But,
he's so scared of the phone.
Hmm. Well, I
well,
think
that's why, yeah, that's
everybody's
why I
happy
have to,
about pop-up live streams.
I can, I can put it out where it's out of his nervous range, I think. The one up there, he doesn't even know exists. So if it comes to that, not the best for doing a video, but when people will be able to get to see Mander. And when I sit with him, I get Bob out, and then I get first I get um, Cosmo out, and then I get Bob out, and then I get him out. And then after all those three, I get Romeo out. He comes in here now too, so Romeo comes in here. What are you doing? And don't get overly amorous now. No, don't get overly amorous. No, we don't. No, we don't need to do that. No. Yeah, my latest thing is that I'm tired of buying things that have all these preservatives in them. So now I'm going to start making my own margarine. So you won't find a recipe for it pretty much anywhere. But if you ask ChatGPT, it pops up actually a recipe and variations on it. And if you really have to have butter flavor and it's not for a bird, then you can get natural butter flavoring. And if it is for a bird, you can get the artificial stuff because they can't have any milk products. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're getting a little too, yeah, you're getting just a little too, aren't you? No, you don't. No, you don't need to hold on to my arm. Hold on. You don't need to hold on to my arm. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, definitely the females are more huggy. Yeah, sure. I see that. And here's the female umbrella, and she's barely paying attention to me. Yeah, I'm talking about you, the Lucy bird. Lovely Lucy, pretty bird. And there's the dynamic duo down there. I had a firm talk with her this morning about trying to sneak out up and be with AK. As I know that most of the time Cecil doesn't mind, but then he does get a little protective too. So you mind? It's really hard to use the phone when you're hanging on my hand. You big silly bird. Well, the big silly bird. Trying to keep the mating behavior down. He's a little wound up. You're just a little wound up. We get another piece of wood and put it over here. Maybe you'll start chewing wood. Maybe. Maybe. Well, if you can't find a hand, you'll go for wood. I was surprised at how easy it is to make margarine. You don't have to have all that stuff that you can't pronounce on the. You read the labels on these things, or you look at the salt content. And say, am I buying salt or am I buying margarine? They like tortillas. I made some tortillas yesterday, and I put tahine in there, which is about half salt, and the other half is peppers and that kind of thing. So instead of using salt, I just 1.5 times I used a tablespoon and a half of tahine in the tortillas, and they really like those.
You put some beans in the tortilla for Lorelei.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I give her a burrito here and there. She does like burritos. She likes the The only tomatoes I can get that have any flavor at all are the canned diced tomatoes. They're not bad. But I'm trying to move my position around here. Slide past the couch. What are you doing? Yeah, you can make, I made what, 18 tortillas and for about 50 cents. And in the store right now, 12 tortillas are cost. Stop it! Get it out! Monster. You want us? No, no. You can step up, but you're not biting my shoe. Are you coming up or not? Faking it. Figures. You big toad. Yeah. They're about $5 for 12 tortillas. I mean, how much flour is in there? On the tortillas they're giving you, it's about a cup of flour. A cup and a half of flour for $5 with a little bit of, I don't know. But this way I know what they're getting. And now that I'm all the margarine I'm gonna make myself, it doesn't take long. I was surprised it takes about 10 minutes to make 2 cups of margarine. So primary ingredients are coconut oil and olive oil, and then soy lecithin granules. Ouch! You stop that now. No. Come here. Come here. Get up here. Come here. Get up here. What are you doing? You stop. No. You calm down. He's highly territorial right now. What's the problem? What's the problem? You okay? Did I hurt your feelings? If I show him the bottom of my foot, it hurts his feelings. That's about it. I'll put my foot up when he tries to nip. But instead of getting the shoe, he got my foot inside the sock. So, you silly bird. You be nice now. You can go down. What's the problem? No, you don't need to do that. No, you don't. No, you don't. Uh-huh. I know you're getting all protective about her. Lorelei, nesting without any nesting material is kind of odd.
She's a pretty odd bird.
She is. She's different.
She takes
You
after
are
her dad,
acting.
I think.
Unfortunately. Cecil? Cecil. Earth to Cecil. Hello. Yeah, I see you looking at me, but what's the deal?
So then let's greet Spirit Matter. So hello.
Hello.
Hello, Spirit Matter. Let me get some hammering here.
Mm-hmm.
He's tapping out continuous wave, what everybody calls Morse code. Everybody but the amateur radio people.
And Colin Thurston showed up. So hello. Good to see you.
Hello, Colin.
Hello.
Are you going to get my other leg now? What are you going to do? You bit me once already. You didn't mean to, but you did.
Oh my.
You did.
One of Spirit Matter's birdies laid an egg today.
Oh my.
Oh, boy.
Help.
They do that sometimes.
Yep.
Well, if that was an ostrich, you'd have a heck of an omelet. But
Just a parakeet.
there was an ostrich farm when we lived in Fallbrook, California. There was an ostrich farm, and they did sell ostrich eggs that you could make an omelet with. But no, I don't eat animal products. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, well, Sugar is preening. Lucy's just hanging around. Snowball. Where's Oh, there's Jazz. She just blends in back there. Snowball and Jazz. Well, I guess we can get started. Let's see. Start with Bob. What you're going to do is talk about how they came here and what condition they were in when we got them. Bob was actually the first after Chloe that and Lorelai that came in. And the thing about Bob was he was at an animal hospital where they were trying to rehome cats, dogs, and birds on the side. And I was told that in the beginning they actually kind of let him into the front area with the customers. I find that hard to believe, but they said they did. They said they stopped doing that when he started stealing the Cheetos because there was somebody there that kept trying to hide Cheetos, and Bob would find them and be sitting there eating Cheetos. He'd sneak off with them. That's what they said, but that's all. Whatever people say, whatever you have to go with your eyes what you see when you're there, because what you're being told is not necessarily the truth. Humans don't really know truth anyway. So he was in a cage and outside, unless the weather was terribly bad, along with several other birds. And they didn't let him out except when when I met him, he was being let out only while they were cleaning the cage and then put right back in it. So people were showing me all the scars where he had bitten them. And when asked, most of them said it was when they were trying to put him back in the cage. He never bit them when they were taking him out. So it kind of figured that he didn't like being stuck in a cage all day long. And where the cages were situated, they would come out this one door, walk by most of the birds, go get a dog and walk the dog. So there were people walking by him all day long, and hey, and they didn't pay any attention to him. So the one employee they had there that paid attention to him, he'll call her name out occasionally, and when he's not happy with me, he'll go, Becca, Becca.
Becca.
So at the time we were doing fostering, and I didn't have a way to bring in another bird into where I was. I was, at least I didn't see any way I could do it. So I had someone who volunteered to foster them. And then a day later, I get this call. Oh, I can't keep him. He's too loud. The neighbors are complaining. So I had to take him back to the animal hospital. And then I took him. Stop it! Cut out! No. What's your problem today? Get over here. Get up here. Get up here. Come on. What are you so nippy for? Get over here. Calm down. You calm down. Cecil, calm down. So I had to take him back, and at least every other day until I got the place I was living in soundproofed. I had to put up soundproofing on all the walls. I would go and take him toys, and they'd say, "Oh, well, you sure has a lot of toys." I said, "What do you expect? You leave him in a cage with no toys?" And they were pretty much giving "Will you stop with my shoes? Stop it, Cecil." No, he got his foot. See how he's got his foot stuck out there? You need to leave my shoes alone. No, no. Edit it out.
Okay.
You can be replaced by a battery operated parrot. No. Cecil. Now, I've talked about another behavior that will, if you bring in something else into the environment, you can stop a behavior. And I'm going to show you how that works. All I did was put a cough drop in my mouth. I don't need one right now, but he is totally fixated on trying to get a cough drop from me. So here he was being all like, I'm going to bite your leg kind of thing. And now he's trying to get the cough drop. But he got diverted again by something else that's better than the cough drop, training. So anyway, I finally got the place soundproofed, and they were telling me that boy, he sure has a lot of toys because I had been making toys and bringing over for him. And all the toys they had are what we call in the rescue world, we call them Christmas ornaments because they're made of things that can't be destroyed. So you look in there and you say, oh, they've got a lot of toys. No, they don't. They had nothing they could chew on. All the wood that was hanging was manzanita or ironwood or something like that that they couldn't chew. Or plastic toys they couldn't break. Maybe Cecil could, but so he had nothing to do. So he would just watch people go back and forth. I still have that issue today where he is. I have to stop and talk to him when I walk in and out of that room, which sometimes I have to do it quite a bit. Otherwise, he gets all frantic. He doesn't like anybody walking by his cage. I understand why. And I also know why he barks. So he does bark like a dog. And probably he started doing it thinking maybe they'd take him for a walk, but and he was the one that taught me about biting, taught me how to not freak out from being bitten. It took about 2 weeks for him to stop the threatening with the beak routine. He wasn't doing that to me at Mission Animal, but once I got him away from there, I was the only one he could do that to. So I just didn't react to it. I just went and got a Band-Aid whenever he bit at me. And the last time he actually bit me was because of that little minx down there that's digging right now. Because she was taunting him. She was just a baby, but she was taunting him. Hey, you. No. No. See, no doesn't work all that well. Yeah. What if I wave one of these at you? You're a nut. Yeah, it's gone. Not there. So she was taunting him, and I was in the kitchen, which is the place there was basically it was the kitchen and the living room were right next to each other. So he had been trimmed, so his wings didn't work all that well, but he could still fly. But he couldn't quite make it to reach her, so he hung on. He grabbed onto my back. And he bit me through the shirt and was holding me by the back. So that was the day I said, you know what? I don't care. And I just maneuvered myself around to where he could get his feet down on the bar. And then he climbed off of me. And after that, biting didn't mean much to me. I just learned to, whatever. If it happens, it happens. Dr. Jenkins is the same way. Just kind of slough it off. Unless you're bleeding all over the place and you don't want blood on them. So too many nasties in our bloodstream. The thing is, when I brought him in with a Snowball same day. So that just worked out that way. I was getting ready to go get him, and then I get a call that there's a bird right in town who the people don't want him anymore. I don't remember what the excuse was, but I know when I met him, it's you up there, Snowball. He was sitting on a chair in the kitchen, and one of the people who was in the house, a guy, bumped him, nearly knocked him off the chair, and just kept going. And so I'm talking about you. And I said, excuse me for the person who bumped him. And but he was never much of a problem other than we were still trying to rehome birds at the time, and he was taught to pick skin. I've talked about that before, but what I didn't mention is he went back to that person who said, "Oh, I just have to have him," and then a couple of weeks later, "Oh, I can't do this," So that was watching that was, it was one of the things that added up to, well, maybe we shouldn't be trying to rehome these guys. Maybe that just doesn't work. But
it is difficult to rehome. We have a public discussion at the moment here in Germany about rehoming animals from shelters, since it's the time for vacations and school holidays, and a lot of people go for their vacation and just leave their pets behind. So the shelters fill up and get crowded. And now there are a couple of frustrated people who say that they try to adopt, but the shelters don't give animals to them. They have such strict rules that it's impossible and blah, blah, which isn't true. But the thing is, the shelters, they have probably made the same experience like you did. Like, there are a lot of people who want to have an animal, and they think like when they go to a shelter so they can get it for free. They like think like, oh, I'm doing something good and I get it for free. And then they realize, oh, that's nothing for me, because most animals in a shelter are kind of traumatized by what has happened to them before. And then a couple of weeks they end back at the shelter. And that's the actual reason why most of them have these strict rules. Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of people don't understand or don't want to understand, because when then your natural reaction is like, oh, then I buy some illegal puppies from East Europe or so, then maybe that's the reason why the shelter hasn't selected you.
Lorelei, yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that goes on here. Yep.
Yep.
Stop it, Lorelei. No, no.
And when it comes to parrots, they are just far more complicated when you compare it to adopting a rabbit or something like that. So you have to have some accommodations for your rabbit that it's happy, but the accommodations for a parrot are much higher. You have to do so much more than offer a space where it can run and have enough greens and stuff like that, and a friendo or something like that. These guys are super intelligent and can chew down your house within half a day when you are not at home.
Yeah, and you can flush these people out who say they want to adopt, and they don't want to follow the rules, and say, okay, well, what if there were no rules, and the bird was $1,500, ready to pay that right now, and they will immediately back down because they're looking for a cheap way out. And part of the problem with that is, if these people don't have the money to actually afford a bird, they can't afford a vet either. So
yeah,
you really want them to show you how much what credit line they have, how much money they have in the bank, and then you got to go look at their home and make sure they don't have like Teflon pans to cook on, and that the self-cleaning feature is disabled on their ovens, and people don't want any of this. So they just want to get a bird cheap. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, because if you can't afford to buy it outright, then you can't afford to take care of it. Basically.
Yeah, the thing is, the price you pay for a parrot seems to be high, but the costs you have to invest every month in them when it comes to food and average vet costs and stuff, that is expensive.
Get out of there.
Unless you have your very own forest where you can go and have excellent wood and make everything yourself, but that's also investment of time, and you have to have that time, and usually people don't
Yeah.
because they have to
And
work.
even the initial outlay as well, because if you adopt from a rescue, they're probably not going to give you a cage. You have to buy a cage, and those are expensive.
Yeah, and people will try to cut corners on that. And if you tried cutting corners on Cecil, you'd find out that he'd be out of the cage and your cage would be broken. You know? And I mean, because these guys can bust these cages. Most of the cages made today, they could tear them apart if they choose to. So you're looking right now for a decent cage. It's the appropriate size for an umbrella cockatoo or most cockatoos, the larger ones. Actually, yeah, it's just the larger ones because you're talking bar size here. About $1,500 to $2,000. And if you want one in stainless steel, they've gone up to around 5,000. So, actually, the cages now are more expensive than the birds. And I heard at one pet store, unfortunately, well, bird store is no longer in existence, but I heard them actually tell someone, well, you can buy a small cage now and just get a bigger one later. And I
No.
just looked over and said, I tell you what, you guys want to move into a studio apartment? I can arrange that for you. I'm sure you'll be happy there. That was the end of that sale for that company. But because it got the point across, you have to have some room to move around. They got to be able to flap their wings, and they got to like with Lorelei, you got to be able to pace. When she really wants something, she likes to pace. If you put her in a small cage where she can't pace, she wouldn't be happy. With her, it's just something she likes to do. It's not stereotypic behavior. She likes to pace. So if she sees something you're bringing over that she wants, back and forth, back and forth. That's her way of saying, I want that. Oh, I hear you up there, big girl. So with him, when I brought him in, it was back when we had, that we had people who were supposed to be foster parents, and that was a real problem. He gets there and he kind of gets acclimated, then he comes back and then he goes back again. And after that, I said, that's it. He's going to stay with us. I'm not going to play that game anymore. It took about 6 months to kind of get him sorted out after that. And then he and Lorelei decided, even though they weren't playing together or anything, they decided they were going to be mated, and that was fun. But yeah, they had a good time for about 5 years, and then he went south, just like the books say they will. In captivity, they tend to get aggressive with their mates. Not his fault. Just what happens because they're raised in these bad environments.
We have a couple of more chatters here. We have Jocelyn Trickle joining us. So hello, Jocelyn. And then we have Pierre Shah here. Hello, good to see you guys.
Hello.
And Giselle is telling us in chat from her experience with trying to rehoming an animal or a bird because her friend passed away, and she basically took then the animals in and tried to rehome them, but it failed. So now she's caring for them, I guess.
Yeah, it especially with these guys, it's difficult. It's easier to get one than it is to get rid of one. And if you don't commit 100%, then it's a big problem, because you're going to be stuck with something that's going to be what you're going to see as it's this horrible harpy that came from Hades, and biting and screaming, and all that is because of ignorance on the part of the person with the bird. We're all ignorant at times. Didn't know everything when I first got Chloe. I didn't know this is a blind leading the blind. I see this posting on an old Usenet group, all cockatoos, and there's a cockatoo, and I went down and got her. I told that story before, but this could have been anywhere in the world. It was only an hour's drive, so I went and got her, and the whole time, all these people could tell me was, "Oh, you're getting an expensive bird," and "Oh, this is an expensive cage." And she was plucking at the time too, so she was missing feathers, and oh, she's a great starter bird. Boy, when I hear somebody say starter bird now, I want to just, it's like you want to find the tree chipper and throw the people in it. I just no such thing as a starter bird. She was a wonderful bird, and it took me a while to realize that. I was doing research at the time. I took her because they were going to get rid of her that weekend. That's just what they said. Well, one way or another, we're going to get rid of her, and so I called them on a Saturday, and Sunday they said no, nobody else is interested. So went down and got her. Fortunately, after that, I say fortunately, I went through a divorce, and that's when I got to know Chloe. Was when I went through the divorce, and I realized the cage they gave me, she hated it. And I got her a cage. She picked the cage out. She wouldn't go into any other cage, and that's the one that Cecil lives in now. And it was the only cage there she would go into. So that night, she got on top of that cage after I put it together and got her in it and hung toys and all that. She got in there. She came out. She got on top of it. And she started strutting back and forth, making a sound that sounded like tubular bells. Sounded like straight from The Exorcist. It was, but it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And I mean, I was so dumbfounded. I had like an Apple, was it a 3GS at the time? It's my first phone that could record. Never even dawned on me to record it. She never did it again. But she loved that cage. She wanted to be out, of course, but that was her cage. She chose it. You're not going down there. And just looking down. No, I said no. Laura Light. Big pest. You just have to sneak your way over there, don't you? You just have to, don't you?
Would be nice if Laura
Yeah.
actually said her name, since it's also
Yeah.
in that really deep voice, Laura.
Laura
Oh.
die. Baby girl.
Hi, baby girl.
Now, you can see when I discipline the birds a little bit, what did she do? She made a cute little squeaking sound. I mean, it's not like I had to pull her away from her because she was trying to get down to him. And she just makes a cute little squeaking sound at me. She's just, I know how to handle each of them where they're okay with it. So, but she'll get this guy all fired up by going towards him. And the next thing I know, I've got a little triangle going that's going to be nothing but problems. So I have to keep breaking it up. So that's how Chloe came. And she was great. She would sit on my shoulder, put a harness on her, take her places, take her to the residence fairs. And then I had Murray, who was a African gray, and she was living with an old guy, and he got dementia, and they took him out of there, and they just left the bird. Somebody found out about it and told me, and then that's how Murray came to live with us. And the moment she saw me, she's like, "Okay, you're the guy." So after that, I was her. I don't know if she would have considered me a mate, but I was certainly the one that she gave all the attention to. Most other people couldn't handle her. I mean, they could have if they'd wanted to. I could have trained them, but she wasn't big on going to other people like cockatoos are. Certainly had a lot of attitude, but she came to me because she was stuck in a house with nobody feeding her and no water, no food. And someone on our board of directors found out about it, and that's how she came to us. And she said something extremely rude to me when I brought Babalu and
Snowball.
Snowball. Yeah, I had to put the stupid cough drop in my mouth to
Okay.
get Cecil's attention. So sometimes it gets in the way of my tongue. Now she came. I went down. I took two birds down to Discovery Valley Animal Hospital for checkups, and I have one of the ladies who works there. She's a great person. She goes, "Here, I want you to see something." So she takes me into one of the examination rooms, and here's this face with a horribly torn up body, but this face staring out at me from this dog carrier, and I get told she's going to be going down to. At the time, it was run by a doctor who died, but she's going down to free flight, and I don't think she'll make it down there. Would you take her? So I brought down 2 birds, went back with 3. This one, the sugar face.
Sugary face.
She,
What a good girl.
2.5 years of trying to keep her from killing herself. And finally figured out that I could go higher on the dose than the book said. And she's fine. You can't lower the dose on her. I learned that the hard way. I've got pictures of what happened after I cleaned her up. The pictures are not. If I'd taken a picture, when you see a bird that's all covered in blood, you don't immediately break out the camera, right? Once I had her cleaned up, then I took pictures, and even that looks horrible. What are you 2 doing up there? No, you're not doing that on my shoulder. No. Cecil? Lorelei, you're just a troublemaker. You find some way to cause trouble, don't you? No, you're not going over there. What are you doing down there, Cecil? You guys. Cecil, he came down from Los Angeles, and I got him in a parking lot up the back end of a truck. And he had he didn't have a crest. He just had a bunch of pointy little feathers that had never been undone on top of his head. They couldn't. Now that gives you an idea how hard it is to rehome a bird. They drove 5 hours to bring him down. There's nobody else in
Wait,
Southern
Cecil came from
California.
Los Angeles.
Yep.
Peaches came from Los Angeles as well, so maybe that's what they were chatting about.
Yeah, a different area. I mean, Los Angeles is huge, but
I know,
different area.
But kind of do you remember back then at the rodeo drive? Oh, I do.
Yeah, maybe so.
Peaches is from Calabasas and Cecil is from Compton.
Oh, Eleanor, wow. Excellent.
I don't know, that's just a guess.
So much detailed information. I'm impressed. I didn't know that. That's great.
Calabasas is where the Kardashians live. And Compton is where all the gangsters live.
I've got some interesting stories about Compton because one of my professors was there during the riots, and he was going around stopping people from throwing vehicles off the top of had vehicles parking on top of a roof, and he went up there and stopped these kids from throwing the vehicles off the roof. He wasn't a big guy either, but yeah, and he was a tough one too for a different reason. I mean, the first thing before they even handed him over to me, I said, "No, I don't want to hold him." As I went ahead and preened his head, so he had a crest instead of a bunch of pins on his head, and he was more like a toy cockatoo. There didn't seem to be any personality inside of him. He just sat around and did nothing. Yeah, we're talking about Cecil. He did nothing. He just sat And I worked with him and worked with him until finally he started to come out. And now it's like, whoops, just like my dad said, you spend first 2 years of a child's life trying to get them to talk and the rest of your life trying to get them to shut up. And and it's pretty much the way it was with him. He is just one of the more active birds, but he wasn't like that when I first got him. He was not a busy boy. What are you doing over there, busy boy? And then Lorelei, she's part of the sanctuary now, especially since she had to get neutered, and she was just my bird, but she had to get neutered, and she started when she went through becoming an adult. She went through adolescence. She started ripping her feathers out, so she had to go on Haldol. And there's got to be something to take care of her when I'm gone, so she's part of the sanctuary. But I got her from a breeder. Yeah, I do not recommend going to breeders. Some stories about this breeder, but I took Chloe down there, and there were two babies. This one and another one. That was her sister, and she was following her sister around. So I thought, if she's a follower and she's going to follow, her sister around, I'll take her. And Chloe actually did a lot to teach her. She helped to teach her to fly, and she chased around after her to kind of show her what to do. So it actually did help Lorelei quite a bit to have Chloe around. Until Lorelei started showing an interest in Snowball, and that was the end of that. Like, okay, you're an adult now, you're on your own. But although they still talked and still played together a bit. What are you doing? But that breeder, I found out later, she actually told me this. She said she never takes her birds to the vet. And then all of
That's
her birds
terrible.
were, yeah, and all of her, she says, all my birds are small. She only had one mating pair, and all of them are small. I got a picture of her mom and dad somewhere here, but because all of her birds are small. Well, Lorelei's not small. It may look like it, but she weighs 650 to 700 grams, depending, from time to time, as we take the weights on her. Not getting in the pocket. Hold on a second, guys. You're not getting in my pocket. No. So, so she wasn't feeding them right, because this is a big girl. She's hefty for an umbrella. She's in the normal
She's
range.
got,
Let's put it that way, but she
she's
doesn't
got
look
some
big.
muscle on her.
She does. She flies around quite a bit. Don't you, girl? Not right now, she says. I'm not flying anywhere.
And lots of
So that's the
bouncing
only one I
around
got
causing
from.
mischief.
She's this woman was later on. I had to take her in to get medicine because she had, if I remember correctly, it was some kind of intestinal bug, and I had to get medicine. So the woman goes, "Well, I'll pay for the medicine." I said, "Well, you can donate it to the sanctuary." Then she went up and read what we had to say on the website. She goes, "Well, I'm not going to donate to that." And I said, "Yeah, well, you taught me something. So if you think I'm against breeders now, you can't imagine how much more against breeders I am after hearing what the things you told me today." That was the day she told me she didn't take them to the vet and all this. So it's all about making the money for some of these people. I would say the majority of them, because anybody with a heart wouldn't want to raise these guys to be captives. I'm glad she's with me, but I would never give a breeder a penny. Right, Lorelai? Right. And this one, the lovely Lucy, pretty bird. I get a call one day from that same animal hospital. They just been bought out by a corporation. One that's going around buying out all these veterinary offices, and they won't allow an animal on the premises that isn't there to make money. They didn't say it quite that way, but that's what she was saying. They're not going to support any animals on the premises. So could I please take her? Now, I had over a year before this, I had told them you need to put her on Haldol because she still had feathers on her chest at the time, but they were starting to, she was picking them out. They wouldn't do it. $50 a year they wouldn't spend. There you go. So that guy retired, the guy that owned that business when he sold out to the big corporation. But just, some of these people, that veterinarian I wouldn't give you a nickel for. And I know another vet that actually applied to work there, and he said that he wouldn't work there if they paid him, $200,000 a year. He said it was a horrible place, but because it was all about the money. Take as much money as you can from the customers. I call them a test to death facility. You take a bird in and they want to run every test in the world to make every penny they can off you. So, and
That's
then
horrible.
without my permission, they had somebody call me. They're like, "Oh, we've had a relationship with her. We'd like to come and get her." No. I said, when we take them in for any reason, we don't. Because at that point we were a sanctuary. We don't hand them back out. I mean, so. And they didn't know anything. I mean, I asked them a couple of questions, and they were completely ignorant. So it's like signing a death warrant when you give a bird to someone like that. And they had kids and a dog. I said,
Oh no.
No. Well, kids are bad too, because the first time they do something to the bird, the bird turns around and for one reason or another, even to protect them, bites them. Then the parents are like, I can't have this animal around. It bit my child. And, I've seen a lot of the kids in this country, and I'll take a bird over the kids every day. So, because the birds don't have any hate in them, and a lot of kids are, they're just all about me. So, she's always been a sweet bird. Getting her to play with toys has been tough, but that's how she came in. Just one day I get a call. Not that I don't get calls. I got calls all the time now. Calls, emails, texts. I have a bird. I need to, and whatever the excuse is, we need to get rid of it now. 12's my limit. I can't do any better. So can't find any volunteers out here either. So, and even if I had them, I'd need about 5 volunteers. So I'd know I had the volunteers if I brought in any more birds. As volunteers come and go, it's not like these people are getting paid. So, not like I'm getting paid either, right, Bird? What do you say? No.
Bad times for
You
being
work
an animal.
your fingers to the bone.
Mm.
And what do you get in return? Just whining.
She's not whining. She'll start whining now if I let her know I'll pet her, but she won't necessarily believe me if I'm holding the phone up. Yeah, he says he'll pet me, but he won't. As soon as I put this phone down, boy, she'll be coming over.
They know there's another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that the live stream goes to an end when Jasmine starts stretching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Pippa, I got a call, and I've got this cockatoo. My girlfriend left a few years ago, and she left this bird with me, and she's not coming back. And the guy was really caring individual, and he had paid for the surgery to get she had gotten lead in her. He was taking her to the vet, and they did X-rays, and they found out she had lead. It swallowed a fishing weight, and so he paid for the surgery to get the lead out. He bought her a new cage. But here's the first thing I hear. Well, she's not, she's fine. She's not in any condition. He didn't mention there was anything wrong with her except the lead. And I said, how are her feathers? Well, she's missing a feather or two. I said, we only take in, at the time, we were just taking in and was still that way, taking in the birds that really need help. And then he really cared about her, so he was trying to make it sound like it was not a big problem. But once he realized that we don't take in birds like that, he sent me a picture of her, and her primary feathers were shredded. I've got pictures of her like that. She did not look terribly good. Okay, so then this is going to be the last one I have time to talk about, but he took her in to get the blood tests, and she had 1 titer of chlamydia in a psittacosis, and so we had to wait 3 more weeks and do the test again. Now, these are not cheap tests, but he did that, and then it hadn't increased, which means she'd been exposed to it, but she didn't have it. So after all that, he brought her down, and we're out in the front of the house, and he's got her, and he's holding her kind of tight, and he says, she doesn't generally like people. I said, well, he says, she definitely doesn't like women, but he says she doesn't usually like strangers. I said, well, let me hold her. So he just released a little bit on her, and she flew right over to me, and her wings went right across my chest. And I said, I don't think this is going to be a problem.
She picked her person.
And the other person she picked is right up there on the wall. The one she used to fly into all the time, Steve Jobs. She flies around a lot. She's out in the morning with me when I cook, so she has certain spots she flies. She'll fly to my shoulder, or she'll fly over. She doesn't fly to any place that's dangerous, and the way the stove is set up, she's not going to get hurt on the stove, but because most of the heavy duty cooking I do, she's digging in a box on the big table. So she's turned all the wood in there well, this is an example. This piece of wood right here, this is one of the harder pieces, and this is one she started on. So, but all the softer pieces of wood like this, they're just toothpicks now. But she goes in and plays with the toothpicks. And she's come a long way. She says, that's right, that's right. That's an interesting story, but I've told it before. And she's a bird that has definitely completely turned around. The only thing you'd say about her is, well, she likes to hear her name. He wasn't a bird person, but he did it. He did everything right as far as trying to find her a home, including having to drive down, 5 or 6 hours, depending on traffic, just to bring her to us. But everybody, remember, we have merchandise, and you can see that on our link tree. We've got merchandise, and you can donate on our website, alwayssanctuary.org. And you can ask questions there too. There is a way to actually type and get questions answered on our website. You just go into the contact form. Yeah. You can join us on Patreon, and it helps with our monthlies trying to pay the bills, which is not that easy right now. We're still going in the red, so yeah. What do you have to say? And
So
thank
I
you,
just
Amy
want
and
to
Eleanor.
greet Judy Raymond, who showed up in chat. So hello. Great
Hello.
to see you. And
You can watch the replay. You can watch the replay and hope we see you again. Right, Cecil?
She showed up a couple of times ago. I just don't wanted to interrupt you.
Oh, well, you can always interrupt me. Stream of consciousness here.
We're here on Mondays and Wednesdays. At what time is it for you, Don? Is it midday in Pacific time?
It's noon Pacific Daylight Time.
Okay.
So
'Cause it's
when you Google up time in Las Vegas, then basically you get it, the actual time, since Don is in close, not that close, but close area to that time. So when it's noon in Las Vegas, then it's noon at Don's place.
and if it's a Monday
My
or a
name-
Wednesday, then my Wednesday.
Yep.
And my dad had a name for Las Vegas too. It was Lost Wages. Right? You're a good bird, Cecil.
Mhm.
Well, thanks,
Yeah.
guys, for being here. Thank you, Amy and Eleanor, for moderating, and we'll see everybody next week. I've got some
Yeah.
videos to put up. I've got some videos to put up too for the members. So some cute ones of Sugar and of Jazz. All right, guys.